Welcome to our Module 1 SENCO video.
Southend Specialist Teaching Service works in partnership with schools, parents, children and other professionals. We're made up of specialist teachers, HILTers, outreach advisors and other specialist staff.
My name's Emma Jones and I'm the Deputy Head Specialist Teacher for the Specialist Teaching Service. I'm a qualified SENCO and I am a Specialist Teacher in Cognition and Learning.
My name is Juliet Frewin. I'm also in the Cognition and Learning Specialist Teaching Service, and I've worked as a SENCO and within the pastoral team in mainstream secondary schools.
Module 1 includes current facts and figures, learning about the law, ensuring we're up to date with the code of practice, the graduated response, and SENCO, otherwise known as school support.
We recognise that one of the first things you may feel as a SENCO is that there's a wealth of paperwork. In this video we will talk you through key parts of this.
This slide demonstrates that in England the amount of EHC plans is currently rising.
Last academic year, over 5% of children in English schools had EHCPs.
Alongside this, there is an increase of students recognised as requiring additional SEN support.
It is likely your SEN register reflects this trend in increasing levels of students requiring support.
1.7 million pupils in England have a special educational need.
The reason we've included this information is to understand the scale of SEN within England.
Support for SEN has laws governing what should take place, and it is really important you know these laws.
The code of practice is available online. Make sure you have a copy downloaded. You may also want a copy printed, as this should be used and regularly referred to for guidance.
Local authorities must carry out their functions with a view to identifying all children and young people in their area who may have SEN or may have a disability. Section 22 of the Children and Families Act 2014 sets this out clearly.
Local authorities may gather information on children and young people's SEN or disabilities in a number of ways. Anyone can bring a child or young person who they believe has or probably has SEN or a disability to the attention of a local authority. This means parents as well as schools are able to request an EHCP assessment.
SEND is for everybody. The School Admissions Code of Practice requires children and young people with SEN to be treated fairly.
So with admissions authorities, they must consider applications from parents of children who have SEN but do not have an EHC plan on the basis of the school's published admissions criteria as part of their normal admissions procedures. They must not refuse to admit a child who has SEN but does not have an EHC plan because they do not feel they can meet these needs. They must not refuse to admit a child on the grounds that they do not have an EHC plan.
You'll hear the graduated response mentioned by lots of people in the SEN department, and we're going to explain what this means step by step.
Universal is what every student should receive. This is high quality teaching within the classroom. This will meet the needs of most students. However, some require additional support from targeted interventions. A small minority will also require specialist, additional and highly personalised interventions.
When we talk about universal strategies, it is important that we're aware of what that means. We're talking about things like zones of regulation, coloured overlays, and now a next board, and things that could be available for all children in the classroom. As Southend Borough Council, we offer these visual universal strategy sheets to support schools know what's universally available for all pupils.
To ensure resources like those strategies are easily accessible for you, we have our Southend Padlet, and you can see the wealth of variety of resources that you can utilise that are available for you.
If you scan this QR code, it will take you directly to our Padlet so that you can explore some of the resources available.
When the school identifies that a child will be placed on the SEN register, the following must take place. These are all part of the code of practice.
It is important that there is a route identified for school staff to raise their concerns about a student, and all staff should be aware of this process. This also should be outlined in the school SEN policy.
It's important that everyone works together to make things better for all students.
This slide explains the assess, plan, do review cycle. So initially we assess the child's area of need, we put in a plan to support them, and then we work towards their targets. The review process is looking at whether or not we need to increase the targets, if they are partially met and whether they should remain in place, or if they've not met and we should do something different, and whether they need to be modified and broken down into smaller steps. And then we go again with the same assess, plan, do, review cycle.
So what do we actually mean by area of need?
There are 4 areas of need. The first one, communication and interaction. The second area, cognition and learning. The third area, social and emotional mental health. And the fourth area, sensory and physical.
Students may have needs that overlap between these areas, and this document from the EEF Foundation shows in more detail how each area is made up and how students may have more than one area of needs overlapping. For example, a student with ASD may have issues in regards to communication and interaction and also sensory needs.
Some students, despite targeted interventions, will require additional support, and a school or parent may wish to request an EHC. This slide shows a timeline of the EHC request.
When a plan is issued, it will contain information for all of these aspects listed.
The local authority has a duty to consult with the parent's first choice of school, remembering that every child has the right to a mainstream placement.
There are some students where an EHCP would not be suitable. These are ones where the issues are regarding behaviour, that there is slow progress, that there is English as an additional language, or their medical needs. There are some students that have some of these characteristics, but those reasons may not be on their own reason to apply for an EHC.
In part 2, we're going to focus on the SENCO's role.
SENCOs play a crucial role in guiding and executing the SEN policy and provision within a school. They are a pivotal link for colleagues, providing assistance and guidance in identifying needs and then determining the appropriate provisions that need to be put in place. SENCOs manage those provisions and actively monitor the advancement of students with SEND, striving to enhance practices to ensure that interventions and support are efficiently and effectively used.
A SENCO has lots of different roles, so let's look at some of these.
Schools must have a SEND policy and a SEND report. These should be available on your school website for people to view. These need to be reviewed annually.
When concerns regarding progress are made, it is important to know the universal strategies are in place and are being used consistently.
You may be included in monitoring this and time given to be able to see that this is in place. It's important that you're aware of what's going on in classrooms and have the ability to challenge where strategies are not being utilised.
You may need to know what the school have in place. The Autism Education Trust have an audit tool you may like to carry out to consider what the learning space for children is like. If you're a class teacher using a space, you have to include your needs, but also the needs of the pupils that you are teaching.
Being organised with your paperwork is crucial. You can see from this list all the things that you do need to ensure you are keeping track of.
It is important that regular reviews take place for students. Children with EHC plans require annual reviews that need to take place within a specific time frame.
It is important that you understand the staff that you line manage. What are their skills? What areas require support and development?
SEND is not just down to the SENCO. They are children and part of the school community, and everybody is responsible for the inclusive culture.
This is included in the SENCO practice, where it states that teachers are responsible and accountable for the progress and development of pupils in their class, including where pupils access support from teaching assistants or specialist staff. We're talking about the fact that teachers, as part of their teaching, need to include the needs of all their students.
It is important that school staff are aware of the impact they can have on an individual, whether this be positive or negative.
So to recap, we need to ensure that all in the school know their role and responsibility in supporting all students with their learning and identifying additional needs, and how you as the SENCO will be informed of this.
Support staff are really important in ensuring the progress of children, especially with special educational needs. It's important that they understand the targets that the child is working towards and have clear expectations of what is expected of them. It is important that they keep regularly updated from the class teacher and also feedback to the class teacher with the progress that's been made whilst they're working with them. All of this feedback and working together is essential in order for the child to make a good level of progress.
How do you as the SENCO support planning?
It is important as a SENCO that you're monitoring planning. Here is an example of medium-term planning. SEND planning should not be a bolt-on. It should be intertwined into everything that class teachers do. This is especially important where children are being taught in nurturing environments or outside of the classroom. It is really important that that class teacher is keeping an eye on the provision that the child is receiving.
SEND planning should be regularly monitored. When you're doing this, you should consider, has the needs of all students being considered when setting the learning objectives and how the students are actually going to meet that? Have the IEP targets been taken into account and how the students are going to meet those? You should be looking in books to see if there's a progression. You might see an improvement in spelling or the pace of the work that's been completed. Do the teachers have high expectations for the student? Has the child made progress? We'll share that monitoring information with the parents where suitable.
As a SENCO, it is important that you're visible. You have lots of meetings with parents to carry out, and it is important that teachers know that you're approachable.
So when you're being visible, this is when you're working in partnership with the teachers, with the leadership team, with the parents, with the children themselves. You are part of that partnership pattern and you are the person coordinating all of those parts. You need to be there to support where needed in terms of staff and students, and to give advice and guidance regarding the writing of reports and attend all relevant meetings.
Tip number 5 on being visible. It's important that you build relationships, that you carry out learning walks to see what the provision for SEND is like in the school. You attend all of the inclusion meetings, carry out observations, any continual professional development, and praise and reinforce the values throughout the school.
Critically, what you're aiming for as a SENCO is that working partnership with parents, teachers, children and outside agencies to break down the barriers of learning and to ensure that there is success for those learners.
Relationships with parents is key. They are a large stakeholder and need to be listened to and involved. The EEF give guidance in this and it is worth considering. It is research and evidence-based.
We appreciate being a SENCO isn't easy, but it is so rewarding.
If you found this video useful, we'll be doing our Module 2. This will be covering outcomes, more information on the Assess Plan Do Review cycle and the graduated approach, and the process of identification.
Southend Specialist Teaching Service are able to support with training.
Here is some of our training offer that we've recently delivered in schools.
You're welcome to come and join our sessions or request our training. You can email us to request this, or you can book any of our planned training on the Southend Learning Network.
You'll find this video along with many more on our Southend City Council Specialist Teaching Service page on YouTube. Please subscribe to get regular updates.
Alternatively, you can email us directly for support.
Thank you for watching today.